Hey friends, we hope you enjoy listening. I'm filing for divorce as soon as we get back to the city, Eric said, staring into the fireplace. Kate froze with a wine glass in her hand. The wine nearly spilled onto the light-colored couch. A second ago, she had been about to ask him to pass the napkins, some ordinary little household thing. Maybe toss another log into the fire because the house had gotten chilly. The evening had turned raw and damp, even though the calendar still said late September. And now, divorce. Just casually, like he was mentioning that the milk had gone bad or the car needed to go to the mechanic. He was sitting in his favorite leather chair, leaning back, legs stretched out, hands folded over his stomach. The posture of a man who had made an important statement and was now waiting. His profile had always been handsome. A straight nose, a strong chin, a high forehead. Kate used to love looking at him exactly like that, in profile. In the early years, she could watch him for hours while he read or watched TV without him ever suspecting it. She thought she had gotten lucky. Now all she noticed was how tightly his lips were pressed into a thin line, waiting for a reaction. She was supposed to jump up, burst into tears, demand an explanation, fall to her knees, beg him to change his mind, promise to do better, to never voice her opinion in front of guests again. She set the glass down on the table. Her hands were shaking, but it was a different kind of shaking, not fear, something else, not pain, not panic, something strange, relief. Yes, that was exactly it, relief. Like she had just dropped a backpack she had been carrying for so long that she had stopped noticing how heavy it was. "Do we have champagne?" she asked, and her voice sounded surprisingly calm. Eric turned slowly, like he didn't believe what he had heard. Surprise flashed across his face, his eyebrows lifting. He pulled himself together fast and frowned. "There should be some in the fridge," he muttered, and that familiar note of irritation crept into his voice, the one that always showed up when something went off script for him. "Did you even hear what I said?" "I heard you." Kate stood up and walked to the fridge. Her legs carried her on their own, automatically. A strange feeling, like you were watching yourself from the outside. A woman in jeans and a soft sweater walking across the wooden floor of a country house, the floorboards creaking under her feet. Her head was strangely empty and quiet. No thoughts, no panic. A blank page. "You said you're filing for divorce. I heard you." She opened the fridge. Light spilled into the dim kitchen, and she saw it right away. The bottle of champagne they had brought 3 days earlier. Eric had bought it at a gas station on the way out here. "In case we feel like celebrating something," he had said then, unloading bags from the trunk. The bottle had cost $40. He had spent a long time choosing it in the little store, studying labels, asking the young cashier about the taste and the producer. The girl clearly didn't know much, but she dutifully read the descriptions off the price tags. Kate had stood by the entrance, looking out the window at the gray sky. She knew no one would ask her opinion, and she didn't know anything about champagne anyway. In their house, Eric always made the decisions. She took out the bottle, heavy, cold, beaded with condensation. The gold foil glimmered beautifully in the light from the floor lamp. The label had something in French on it, all swirls and fancy script. "What are you doing?" Uncertainty had entered Eric's voice, and Kate caught it immediately. In 15 years of marriage, she had learned every shade of his tone. "Opening the champagne." She peeled off the foil and started twisting the wire. Her fingers worked cleanly, without hurry. "An occasion like this deserves to be celebrated." "What occasion?" He jumped up, sharp and sudden, military-like, and took a few steps toward her. The cork flew out with a loud pop, sharp as a gunshot in the quiet house. Foam spilled over the top, and Kate quickly held her glass under it. She filled it to the brim and lifted it toward the light. The bubbles raced upward cheerfully, shimmering in the glow of the fire. Beautiful, festive. "To freedom," she said, and took a long drink. The champagne was incredible, dry, with fruity notes, apple, maybe pear, cold, sparkling. Kate had never especially liked champagne, usually preferring wine or tea. But right now, it was the most delicious thing she had ever tasted in her life. Eric stood in the middle of the room staring at her like she had lost her mind. His eyes were wide, his mouth slightly open, his arms spread apart. Complete bewilderment. Usually, he was always in control, always knew how to turn a conversation in the direction he wanted. This was new. "Are you messing with me?" he finally managed, his voice cracking. "No." Kate went back to the couch, got comfortable, and crossed one leg over the other. She set the bottle beside her. Half of it was still left. "You know, I just realized you're right. We really do need to get divorced." "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" He was silent. Opened his mouth, then closed it. She had known him for 20 years, had been his wife for the last 15. They met when she was 23 and he was 25. She had just graduated from college and started her first job. He was already working as a manager at a construction company. Confident, grown up, successful. She fell in love immediately. He seemed to have fallen in love too. Although now Kate understood, he had fallen in love more with his own image reflected in her admiring eyes. And she understood perfectly well what he had meant. He wanted to scare her. Punish her for last night's argument when she had dared to contradict him in front of guests. They had invited his business partner and his wife over for dinner, a young couple, newly married. When the conversation turned to children, Eric started up again with his usual line. He and Kate hadn't had kids because they had focused on their careers, as if it had been a joint decision, as if the two of them had agreed on it together. In reality, Eric had decided. First it was, "Let's get on our feet first." Then, "Let's buy a bigger house." Then, "This is an important project. It's not the right time." And then he just stopped talking about it at all. When Kate brought it up herself one day, he brushed her off. "You're 38? It's too late now." And yesterday she finally couldn't take it anymore. In front of the guests, she said, "We didn't have children because Eric believed they would get in the way of his career." The look he gave her was ice cold. And after the guests left, he made a huge scene. How dare she make him look bad, undermine his authority? She tried to explain that she had simply told the truth. He didn't listen. He never listened. And now he had decided to punish her in his own way. He had counted on her crying, begging, ruining the whole trip for herself with anxiety and fear. Running around the house, calling him non-stop, pleading for forgiveness, and he would keep her hanging, let her suffer, then generously forgive her. She could see right through that script. Classic Eric. Manipulation, pressure, playing on fear. But something inside her had clicked, like a switch, and suddenly she saw everything with perfect clarity. Saw right through him, saw herself, saw their marriage for what it really was. Not the way she had wanted to see it, the real thing. And there was no love there. There was habit, convenience, control on his side, and obedience on hers. "You want some too?" Kate nodded toward the bottle. "It's actually excellent." "You always did know how to pick good things." He stood there for a second, then spun around sharply and stomped across the living room. The bedroom door slammed so hard the windows rattled, and Kate sat on the couch, slowly sipping her champagne and staring into the fire. The flames danced in the fireplace, casting shadows on the walls. The logs crackled, shedding red sparks. The wind rustled through the leaves outside, the ordinary sounds of a fall evening. And for the first time in many years, maybe in all 15 years of marriage, Kate felt truly alive. Not functioning, not playing the role of a wife. Alive, real, free. She finished her glass, poured another, and smiled at her reflection in the dark window. The morning began with Eric slamming the door and leaving. Kate heard him messing around in the entryway, pulling on his jacket, cursing under his breath when he couldn't find his keys. Then the front door, the engine starting, the car pulling out of the driveway, and silence again. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She had slept surprisingly well. She had gone to bed late, around 1 in the morning, but fallen asleep right away, without the usual tossing and turning, without replaying the day's conversations in her head. She woke up rested, like she had finally gotten real sleep for the first time in months. The bedroom smelled fresh. She had left the window cracked open overnight. Fall air, pine, fallen leaves. Morning light came through the white curtains, warm and yellowish. Somewhere in the distance, a woodpecker was knocking. Steady, methodical. Knock, knock, knock. Pause, knock, knock, knock. Kate got up, threw on a robe, and went to the kitchen. Eric had left behind his usual mess. The refrigerator door open, juice spilled on the table, breadcrumbs everywhere. She automatically started cleaning up, then stopped. Why? He was gone. She was alone. She could leave it exactly as it was. She could skip breakfast completely. She could spend the whole day in a robe. The thought felt so strange that Kate sat down in a chair. The whole day in a robe. When was the last time she had allowed herself that? Eric always demanded that she stay presentable, even at home, even on vacation. "We don't let ourselves go," he liked to say. And she obeyed. Got up, did her hair, put on makeup, dressed in regular clothes. She made coffee, sat by the window, and drank it in small sips while looking out at the woods. The birches had already turned yellow, mixed in with the green pines. Beautiful. Quiet. And then it hit her. Not all at once, not like an avalanche. Gradually, the way water fills a bathtub. Memories. Moments from their life together that she had carefully ignored, swallowed, justified. Now they were rising, one after another, and each one was like a small sting. The wedding. She had wanted a modest celebration, maybe 30 people, just close family and friends. Eric insisted on a big reception, 120 guests, half of whom she was seeing for the first time. Business partners, distant relatives, old friends. "You only get married once in your life," he had said, and she agreed, like always. Their first apartment. Small, on the outskirts of Charlotte, but theirs. Kate had been so happy, making plans. Eric took everything into his own hands, chose the furniture himself, decided where everything would go. "I know more about this stuff." And he did. The apartment turned out stylish. The problem was there was nothing of Kate in it. She lived in his space, arranged to his taste. Work. In the early years, she worked at a marketing agency and was building a pretty decent career. But Eric constantly complained. She came home late, got too tired, didn't have time to cook. "Why do you need all that stress? I make good money. Find something easier." And she did. She switched to a small company. The work was boring, but she had time to cook, clean, wait for her husband, vacations. Eric always chose the destination himself. Florida, Cancun, Thailand, wherever his friends were going. One time, Kate suggested Prague. She had dreamed about it since childhood, read books about it, watched movies. Eric snorted. "What's there to do there? Look at old buildings? Let's go to the beach instead." And they went to the beach. For the 5th time. Her friends. Her girlfriends gradually disappeared from her life. Lily, whom she had been close with since college, called less and less often. Eric always found a reason why meeting up wasn't convenient, and once he simply said, "You saw her a month ago." At some point, Lily stopped calling altogether. Kate didn't call her either. She knew Eric would be annoyed. Her mother. Eric couldn't stand her. He said she stuck her nose where it didn't belong, gave unsolicited advice. Kate's mom was a straightforward person, and one day she told Eric to his face that he didn't know how to appreciate Kate. He threw a fit and banned her from the house until she apologized. Her mother didn't apologize. She was too proud for that. And Kate started going to see her in secret, while Eric was at work or out of town on business. Like she was 15, not 35. The coffee had gone cold long ago. Kate finished it anyway, made a face. She looked at the clock. 11 in the morning. Eric had left about 2 hours earlier. Who knew? No one was waiting for him in town, and there were no friends nearby. He had probably just driven off to give her time to come to her senses. Her phone lay on the table. 18 missed calls, all from Eric. Not a single text. He considered texting unserious. He had been calling since 9 in the morning, every 20 minutes. The last call had been 10 minutes ago. She picked up the phone, found the name in her contacts. Lily. Her fingers hovered over the screen. When was the last time they had seen each other? 4 months ago? 5? Kate honestly couldn't remember. All she remembered was the awkwardness, the long silences, the wall that had grown between them. But right now, it was Lily's voice she wanted to hear, not Eric's, not his friends who had become hers by default. Lily, who had known her before she got married, who remembered what Kate used to be like. Funny, bold, full of plans. She pressed call, long rings. She was already about to hang up when Lily answered. "Hello?" "Hey, it's me," Kate said, and her voice came out uncertain. "Kate!" Lily's voice sharpened with surprise. "You? Did something fall out of the sky?" "Why does it have to be something falling out of the sky right away?" "Because you haven't called in forever. I thought you'd completely forgotten about me." "I didn't forget. It was just hard," Kate said, pacing around the room. "Uh-huh. Hard." A pause, then Lily's tone softened. "Okay, whatever. How are you? Where are you? Your voice sounds kind of strange." "I'm at the country house. Eric and I came out here and—" Kate faltered. Where was she even supposed to start? "Lily, Eric said he's filing for divorce." Silence. So long that Kate thought the call had dropped. "Lily?" "I'm here. I'm just trying to figure out whether I should feel sorry for you or congratulate you." "What?" "Well," Lily was clearly choosing her words carefully. "I don't know how you feel about it. If you're hurting, I'll come over, hug you, and bring wine. If somewhere deep down you feel good, I'll come over, hug you, and bring champagne." Kate laughed. Unexpectedly, even to herself. Really laughed, without forcing it, for the first time in the past 24 hours. "The champagne's already open," she said. "I opened it yesterday, when he announced the divorce." "Seriously?" "Absolutely." "Oh my God," Lily laughed too. "Kate, I adore you. Tell me everything." And Kate told her. About last night. About his words by the fireplace, about the champagne, about how he slammed the door and went off to the bedroom. About how she had slept like a rock all night. About waking up and feeling strange. A little scared, but mostly light. Like she had dropped something she'd been carrying for so long that she had forgotten what it felt like to be without it. Lily listened without interrupting. Only now and then she would say, "Okay, go on." "And do you know what the weirdest part is?" Kate sat on the windowsill and pulled her knees to her chest. "I suddenly realized I don't love him. I haven't loved him for a long time. Maybe I never really loved him at all. I just got used to him. He was so confident, so grown up when we met. I thought that was what love was. When someone leads you through life, makes all the decisions. But that's not love." "No," Lily said quietly. "That's dependency." "Yes, dependency." And I suddenly saw it. Yesterday, when he said divorce, it was like I looked at our life from the outside, and there was nothing there that was mine. Everything was his. Even I was his. His version of a wife. The one he had invented for himself. "You know," Lily said after a pause, "I always saw it. But I was scared to say anything. I tried once, You got offended and stopped answering my calls. Remember? Kate remembered. 5 years ago, Lily had said that Eric put too much pressure on her, that it wasn't right when one person made all the decisions in a marriage. Kate had gotten angry then, decided Lily was just jealous. What a stupid thing to think. I remember, she admitted. I'm sorry. I was an idiot. Not an idiot. Just in love. Or whatever you call it when you keep convincing yourself everything's fine. Self-deception? Exactly. Listen, what do you want now? Do you really want the divorce? Kate thought about it. Just a day ago, that question would have seemed absurd. Divorce Eric? And then what? Where would she go? What would she do? She was used to him, to their life, to their apartment, to their mutual friends. How could she just throw it all away? And now she knew, clearly, sharply, so strongly that the force of the desire scared her. I do, she said firmly. I want the divorce. I want to live my own life. I want to wake up in the morning when I feel like it, not when he decides. I want to work somewhere that actually interests me. I want to see you not once every 6 months in secret, but whenever I want. And I want to go to Prague, damn it. To Prague, Lily repeated. To Prague. I've dreamed about it my whole life, and he kept dragging me to the beach, the same beach over and over. Then we're going to Prague, Lily said. As soon as you get divorced, we're going. I'm coming with you. We'll walk across Charles Bridge, drink beer in some little pub, look at the astronomical clock. We really will go? I promise. Just don't give in. He's going to pressure you, talk you into it, promise you the moon. I know him. I know, but I'm not going to agree. You sure? I'm sure. Kate looked out the window. The sun had risen higher, the light had grown brighter. It looked like it was going to be a clear day. You know, Lily, I'm 38 years old, and for the first time in 15 years, I feel like myself. Not a wife, not a homemaker, not decoration at some dinner party. Myself. And I don't want to lose that. They talked for another 40 minutes or so, chatted about everything. Lily's job, her new boyfriend, what Kate was going to do after the divorce. Lily offered to let Kate stay with her until she found an apartment of her own. She offered to help with work too. She had connections at several big agencies. By the time they said goodbye, Kate felt like she had lived an entire lifetime in those 40 minutes. Buried the old one, started building a new one. The phone rang again. Eric, the 19th call. Kate looked at the screen, at the photo that popped up when he called. 3 years ago, vacation in Miami. His arm around her shoulders, both of them smiling at the camera. A beautiful couple, happy on the surface. She declined the call and blocked his number. Eric came back in the evening. Kate heard the sound of the car, then the door slam, then his heavy footsteps in the entryway. She was sitting on the same couch where she had opened the champagne the day before, reading a book. An old detective novel she had found on the shelf. The owners had left a small library for guests. He walked into the living room and stopped in the doorway. Kate looked up, nodded to him like an old acquaintance, and lowered her eyes back to the page, as if nothing unusual had happened. As if yesterday he hadn't announced the divorce and she hadn't opened the champagne. We need to talk, Eric said. His voice sounded tired. About what? Kate turned the page. She couldn't actually focus on the words. The letters were blurring, but she carefully pretended to be absorbed in the story. About what happened yesterday. What happened? She asked, looking at him. You said you're filing for divorce. I agreed. Seems pretty clear to me. Kate. He walked into the room and sat down in his chair across from her. That's not what I meant. You understand that, right? No, I don't. Explain it to me. He was silent, staring at his hands. Then he lifted his head and looked her in the eyes. And Kate saw something she had never seen before. Confusion. Eric didn't know what to say, how to act. His script hadn't worked, and he had no idea what to do next. "I just wanted you to understand," he began carefully, "that this can't keep going the way it has. What you did yesterday in front of our guests made me look, well, it wasn't right." "What exactly wasn't right? That I told the truth?" "The truth?" He bristled. "You twisted everything to make it sound like I'm some selfish man who kept you from having children. Wasn't that the truth? We decided together to wait." "No, Eric, you decided." "I just went along with it. Like always." He stood up and paced the room nervously, stopped by the window and looked out at the darkening woods. Outside, it was almost dusk already. The day had been short, autumnal. The porch light came on, casting a yellow glow across the steps. "I thought we were on the same page," he said quietly. "I thought you understood that my career mattered, that we needed to get on our feet first, and then everything else." "We've been getting on our feet for 20 years, Kate said, setting the book aside. "When exactly do you think that ends?" "Don't exaggerate. We've been married for 15 years, not 20. "Fine. 15. For 10 of those years, you kept saying, 'Let's wait,' and for the last 5, you stopped bringing it up at all. And when I brought it up, you said it was too late." Eric turned around. His face was dark. "What was I supposed to say? You're 38. That really is late. I'm 38 now. 5 years ago, I was 33. And 10 years ago, I was 28, a perfectly normal age, but you kept putting it off. Because the timing wasn't right." "The timing is never right, Eric. There's always going to be a reason, an important meeting, a project, a loan. The truth is, you just didn't want kids, because they would have taken attention away from you. Because I would have stopped being the convenient wife who devoted all her time to you." "That's complete nonsense," he said, waving a hand. "You're turning me into some kind of tyrant. I just loved you and wanted us to have a good life." "Loved," Kate repeated. Past tense. He stopped short, realizing what he had said. "Love? Of course I love you. It was just a slip." "Don't," Kate said, shaking her head. "Don't lie. Not to yourself and not to me. You don't love me, Eric. Maybe you did once, 20 years ago. What you love is yourself. You love your idea of what your life is supposed to look like, and I was a beautiful addition to that picture. The right wife, one who doesn't argue, doesn't push back, always stays convenient." "That's unfair." His voice trembled. "I did a lot for you. You bought things for me." "What?" "You bought me gifts, but you never asked what I actually needed. Remember 3 years ago, for my birthday, you gave me a tablet. A nice one. Expensive. But I don't even know how to use one. I didn't need a tablet. I wanted a camera. I told you that a month before, showed you models, talked about how I wanted to get into photography. And you said, 'What photography? That's not serious.' Then you bought a tablet that you yourself needed for work. You just got 2 identical ones." Eric was silent. His face was like stone, but his hands were shaking. He shoved them into his pockets. "I'm not perfect," he said finally. "I make mistakes, but that's not a reason to destroy everything. I can change." "No, you can't," Kate said, shaking her head, "because you don't even see the problem. To you, the problem is that I suddenly stopped being convenient. To me, the problem is that I lost myself in this marriage. I became a shadow of your desires." "So that's it?" He stepped toward her. "Because of one conversation, you're ready to throw away 15 years? Because of one conversation?" Kate laughed, dry and joyless. "Eric, this isn't because of one conversation. It's because of 1,000 little moments that built up over the years. Because you never really listened. Because I was afraid to say what I thought. Because my friends disappeared from my life because you didn't approve of them. Because I work a boring job that I hate only because it's more convenient for you. I didn't make you leave your old job. No, you didn't make me. You just whined every single day. Said I wasn't giving the house enough time, that I was always tired. And I gave in. Quit. Found something easier. And that made life convenient for you. Eric sank back into the chair and ran a hand over his face. He looked exhausted, red eyes, stubble, dark circles under them. Apparently his night had been no better than hers, just not from relief and solid sleep, but from anger and confusion. "So you want a divorce?" he asked quietly. "You really want it?" "Yes." "And nothing is going to change your mind?" "No." He nodded. Slowly, as if it had only just hit him that she was serious. That this wasn't a game, not some attempt to teach him a lesson, not a tantrum he could just wait out. This was a real decision. "Okay," he said. "I'm not going to stop you." Kate hadn't expected it to be that easy. She had been bracing herself for long arguments, manipulation, guilt trips. But he just sat there in the chair, staring into space. For the first time in years, she saw the real him, unsure of himself, not in control of the situation. Just a man who understood that he had lost. "Then we'll leave tomorrow," he went on. "Or do you want to stay until the end of the week?" "Doesn't matter. Whatever works better for you." "Then tomorrow. I don't want to stay here." She nodded. They sat in silence. Outside, it had gone completely dark. Eric got up and turned on the lights. Bright bulbs flooded the room with harsh light, and for a moment Kate saw both of them from the outside. Two strangers in a stranger's house. A gap between them too wide for any bridge to cross. "I'm going to pack my things," Eric said. "You make something for dinner, okay? I haven't eaten all day." Kate opened her mouth to agree automatically, the way she always did, but she caught herself and shook her head. "Make it yourself. I haven't eaten either, and I somehow didn't die. The fridge is full, and the kitchen is free." He looked at her like she had said something unbelievable. Then he nodded, turned around, and walked out. Kate heard him banging dishes around in the kitchen, cursing under his breath. Then the smell of something burning filled the air. She picked up her book, got comfortable on the couch, and tried to read. This time the letters didn't blur. The words formed sentences. A detective novel about a murder at a country estate. A basic plot. A predictable ending. But it felt good to read. An hour later, Eric came out of the kitchen with a plate of reheated food, walked past her into the bedroom without even looking in her direction. The door closed quietly, without a slam. Kate finished the chapter, set the book down, and went to the kitchen. She made herself a cheese sandwich and brewed some tea. Then she sat by the window looking at the stars. There were so many of them. You never saw a sky like that in the city. The Milky Way stretched across the whole sky in a blurred band. Tomorrow they would leave, go back to the city. A new life would begin. Scary, unknown, but hers. Real. And Kate suddenly realized she wasn't afraid. Not afraid at all. She finished her tea, rinsed out the cup, and went to bed. To the guest room, not the bedroom where Eric was lying. She slipped under the thin blanket, closed her eyes, and fell into a deep, peaceful sleep without dreams. They left the next morning right after breakfast. Or rather, Eric had breakfast. Scrambled eggs he cooked for himself, standing at the stove with a grim expression. Kate only drank coffee. She didn't feel like eating. There was a strange sensation in her stomach. Not nausea and not hunger, something in between. Nerves, probably. The drive back passed in total silence. Eric drove fast, sharply, cutting around everyone. He didn't turn on any music. Kate looked out the window at the passing landscape. The forest gave way to fields, the fields to suburban neighborhoods, those to the edge of the city. Shopping centers, billboards, traffic-clogged roads. A normal fall day in a big city. When they pulled up to the building, Eric parked, turned off the engine, and sat motionless, staring straight ahead. "So here's the deal," he said without turning his head. "I'm going to stay with my parents for a couple of days. Give you time to pack. Then we'll calmly talk through how to split the apartment and everything else." "Okay," Kate nodded. "Just—" He hesitated, then finished anyway. "Let's not bring lawyers into this yet. We can work it out ourselves like adults." She knew exactly where he was going with that. No lawyers meant he would pressure her, talk her into things, manipulate her. The apartment was in his name, the car too. Technically, she could claim half, but without a good attorney, it would be hard to prove. "We'll see," Kate answered evasively. "Maybe we can work it out." She got out of the car and took her bag from the trunk. Eric stayed behind the wheel. Kate walked to the entrance and took the elevator up to the 9th floor. The apartment overlooked the park. Eric had chosen it on purpose, saying it was prestigious. She went in. Quiet, empty, painfully familiar. The beige couch Eric had chosen, the glass coffee table Eric had chosen, the paintings on the walls, Eric, the curtains, Eric, the rug, Eric. Everything was his. Nothing was hers. Kate walked into the bedroom and dropped her bag on the bed. Where was she even supposed to start? What should she take with her? She had called Lily that morning, and Lily had said she could come right away. "Don't let him mess with your head," Lily had warned. "He's going to pressure you, make promises, talk you into things. Stay strong." Kate decided to start with clothes. She opened the closet. Half of it was Eric's things, half was hers. She began taking her dresses off the hangers and folding them into a large bag. Jeans, sweaters, blouses, underwear, makeup from the bathroom, documents from the dresser drawer, passport, work records, marriage certificate. Strange to hold it in her hands, knowing that soon it would be nothing but a piece of paper. The doorbell rang. Kate flinched. Had Eric come back already? No. He had said he was going to his parents. She looked through the peephole. Lily, standing there with 2 big bags and smiling from ear to ear. "Hey there, runaway," Lily said, squeezing into the entryway. "I brought wine, chocolate, chips. Figured you might need some support." "You seriously think I'm going to sit here drinking wine?" Kate couldn't help smiling. "Why not? Great idea. One last glass in this apartment. Symbolic." Lily walked into the kitchen and started unloading the bags. 2 bottles of red, a dark chocolate bar, a big bag of chips. "Relax, I'm kidding. I just figured we'd need snacks. What, were you planning to carry all this by yourself?" "Just the essentials. I'll come back for the rest later. Or maybe I won't come back for it at all." "Exactly right. A new life should start with new things." Lily looked around. "Wow. So this is what you guys had. I've actually never been here before, have I?" "No. Eric didn't like having guests." "Got it. Okay. Show me what needs hauling. My car's downstairs." For the next 2 hours, they packed. Clothes, shoes, a few books. The ones she loved and reread. Photo albums, pictures of her parents, childhood photos, college years. A few CDs with music she used to listen to before she got married. The old player her mother had given her. Her makeup bag. Jewelry. Not the pieces Eric had given her, but the ones that had come from her grandmother. "It's weird," Lily said, packing another box. "You lived here for 15 years, and your personal stuff barely adds up to anything." "I'm only realizing that now myself," Kate said, sitting down on the edge of the couch. "It's like I never really lived here. I was a guest, a temporary tenant in his space. What about the furniture, the electronics? You're entitled to half." "I don't want anything from here. Let it all stay. I want to start with a clean slate." "You're at least taking money, right? Your share of the apartment?" "I am. I'm not stupid. I just don't want the stuff. You get it? I don't need this couch where I pretended to be happy. I don't need this bed where I lay there wondering how everything had gone so wrong. I don't need the dishes I ate off while pretending everything was fine." Lily sat down beside her and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "I'm proud of you, seriously. Not everyone could do this." "I'm just tired of lying to myself," Kate said, resting her head against Lily's shoulder. For so many years, I kept telling myself I was happy, that we had a good marriage, that I hadn't missed out on anything. But really, I was just scared. Scared of being alone. Scared I wouldn't make it on my own. Scared of being judged, because I had such a good husband, so what more could I possibly want? And now you're not scared? I am, very. I'm 38 and I left a real career a long time ago. My resume is a mess. I barely have any money of my own. I don't have my own place. I don't even know where to start. But you know what? This fear is honest. I'm not lying to myself that everything's fine. I'm admitting that everything is hard, and that's already something. They sat in silence for a while longer. Then Lily got up, wiped her eyes, and clapped her hands. Okay, enough being sad. Let's finish this and get out of here. I'm starting to understand why you were miserable here for 15 years. The atmosphere is crushing. Really? Kate looked around. I always thought it was beautiful here. Beautiful but cold. Like a hotel. You can't really live here. You can only exist. They loaded the last box, and Kate walked through the apartment one final time. The kitchen, gleaming, perfect, where she had spent so many hours making dinners for Eric and his guests. The living room, spacious, with a fireplace they had never once lit because Eric said it was impractical. The bedroom, the huge bed where they had slept back to back for the past several years. The bathroom, marble, expensive, where Kate had cried under the sound of the shower so no one would hear. Ready? Lily called from the entryway. Ready? Kate took the keys and set them on the dresser in the hallway, walked out and closed the door. She didn't lock it. Why bother? Eric would be coming back anyway. They went down to Lily's car and loaded up the boxes. The old Honda was packed to the brim, boxes on the back seat, bags in the trunk. Off to your new life, Lily said, starting the engine. Off we go, Kate agreed. The drive to Lily's apartment took about 40 minutes. She lived on the other side of the city, in an old building in a quiet neighborhood. A 3-bedroom apartment she had been renting for 5 years. Cozy, crowded with books and plants. The complete opposite of Eric's sterile apartment. Here's your room, Lily said, opening the door to a small bedroom. Sorry it's tiny, but the windows face the courtyard so it's quiet. It's perfect, Kate said, setting her bag on the floor. Thank you. Oh, stop. I'm happy you're here. Honestly, I was getting bored living alone. They unloaded the boxes, and Lily ended up opening the wine after all. They sat in the kitchen and poured themselves a glass each. Outside, it was getting dark. The day had ended without them even noticing. To freedom, Lily said, raising her glass. To freedom, Kate echoed, taking a sip of wine. It was cheap, a little sour, nothing like that elegant champagne from the night before last. But Kate had never tasted anything better. Her phone vibrated. Kate pulled it out of her pocket. A message from an unfamiliar number. She opened it. Eric. Texting from someone else's phone because she had blocked him. Kate, we can talk this through. Don't do anything rash. I'm willing to compromise. Please call me. She showed the message to Lily. Lily read it and snorted. Here we go. Phase 1. Persuasion. There are more phases? Of course. Next come the promises to change. Then pressure. Then an attempt to make you feel sorry for him. Then more persuasion. Classic. How do you know? I read books, plus my friend's experience. You're the first one actually getting divorced, but not the first one who wanted to. The others went back. You don't go back, you hear me? I won't, Kate said firmly, and deleted the message. They stayed in the kitchen until midnight. Talked about everything. Lily's job, her boyfriend, the new show everyone had been talking about. About plans for the future. Lily offered to introduce Kate to her boss at the agency. They had just opened a position for a client account manager. The work wasn't easy, the salary was average, but it would do for a start. Will I be able to do it? Kate asked doubtfully. I've been out of the field for so many years. You will. You have the education, you have the experience. I just need to believe in myself. Easy to say. Then try. Start small. Tomorrow you wake up and tell yourself, I can do this. The day after tomorrow, say it again. In a week, you'll believe it. Kate smiled. It felt strange to be sitting in someone else's kitchen, making plans for the future. Strange, but good. Scary, but right. She went to sleep on a narrow bed in the small room. The sheets smelled like fresh laundry detergent and a little like lavender. Lily had probably put a sachet in the closet. Outside, the wind rustled, and somewhere far away, a dog was barking. The sounds of someone else's neighborhood, someone else's life. But when Kate closed her eyes, she felt not anxiety, but peace. There was a lot of uncertainty ahead. The divorce, splitting the assets, finding a job, building a new life. But it was her life, her choice, her freedom. And that was what mattered most. The next 3 days passed in a strange state of suspension. Kate woke up in a room that wasn't hers, had breakfast in a kitchen that wasn't hers, wandered around the apartment not knowing what to do with herself. Lily left for work early in the morning and came back at 7 in the evening. Kate was alone with her thoughts. Eric called every day, from different numbers, apparently borrowing phones from friends or co-workers. Kate didn't answer. She read the messages he sent. At first they were conciliatory. Let's meet and talk calmly. I understand I was wrong. We can fix this. Then they got more insistent. Do you even realize what you're doing? We've been together for so many years you can't just throw everything away like that. And by the third day, there were notes of anger. You're acting like a child. Either you come back, or I start the divorce process without you. Kate did answer that last message. Briefly, go ahead. My attorney will contact yours. She didn't actually have an attorney yet, of course, but Lily had already found someone she knew. An experienced divorce attorney, as she described her. A woman in her 50s, handling cases like that for over 20 years. The meeting was set for Thursday. On Wednesday, her mother called. Kate didn't answer right away. She was sitting in the kitchen with a cup of tea, staring out the window. The phone kept ringing insistently, and finally she picked up. Kate? Her mother's voice sounded worried. What's going on? Eric called me. He says you're getting divorced? There it was. Kate had known that sooner or later he would get to her mother. Try to pull her onto his side. Yes, Mom, we are. Oh my God. Why? What happened? It's a long story. Kate took a sip of tea. Cold, unpleasant. The short version is, we're not right for each other. We never were. What do you mean, not right for each other? You've been together for 15 years. For 15 years, I pretended it worked for me. I'm tired of pretending. Her mother fell silent. Kate could hear her breathing on the other end, heavy, quick. Her mother always breathed like that when she was worried. He said you left. That you're staying with Lily? Yes. And what are you going to do now? I'm going to get divorced, find work, keep living. Alone? Alone is better than being with someone who doesn't respect you. Silence again. Then her mother sighed, long and drawn out. You know, I always felt there was something off about him. But I was afraid to say it. The way you looked at him in those early years, so in love, so admiring. I thought maybe I was just being picky. Maybe I just didn't understand modern relationships. You were right, Mom. Remember how you said he took too much for granted? I remember. And then he banned me from coming over. And you didn't stand up for me. Her voice shook. That hurt so much, Kate. I thought you had chosen him over me. Kate felt a lump rise in her throat. I'm sorry, Mom. I was a coward. I was afraid of his anger. It was easier to agree than to argue. I'm not angry, sweetheart. I'm worried about you. How are you doing over there? Are you holding up? I am. Lily's helping. I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have a job interview soon. Come see me, her mother said unexpectedly. At least for the weekend. We'll talk properly, not over the phone. I'll bake a pie, make some tea. We'll sit together like we used to. Kate smiled through her tears. I'll come. I definitely will. They talked for another 20 minutes or so, about her mother's neighbors, about her health, about how gray this fall had been. An ordinary conversation. But Kate felt like a wall between them had finally melted away, the very wall that had grown over the years while she kept choosing Eric and his comfort over her mother. When she hung up, tears were running down her cheeks, but they weren't bitter. It was relief. Another connection restored. Another piece of herself had fallen back into place. On Thursday, Lily took the day off and went with her to see the attorney. The office was downtown, in an old building with high ceilings and creaky floors. The attorney's name was Susan Harris, a solidly built woman in a strict suit with short hair and sharp gray eyes. They went into the kitchen. Eric sat down at the table and set the bouquet on the countertop. The roses were fresh, their smell strong and sickly sweet. Kate stayed standing by the door. Lily took her place in the doorway, arms crossed over her chest. I've done a lot of thinking, Eric began, about what you said. And you were right. Right about a lot of it. I really didn't listen to you. I made decisions for both of us. I only thought about myself. Kate stayed silent, waiting for him to continue. I can change. Seriously. We can start over. We'll go to Prague if you want. Find a job you actually like. I won't object. And I'll make peace with your mom, too, if that's what it takes. If that's what it takes, Kate repeated. Exactly. You're doing this not because you truly want to, but because you need to get me back. And what's wrong with that? I'm willing to change for you. For me? Or to get your convenient wife back? He clenched his fists on the table. I love you. Doesn't that matter? You don't love me, Eric, Kate said calmly. You love the idea of family. You love the comfort I created. But you don't know the real me. You don't know what I dream about, what I'm afraid of, what I love, because you were never interested. I was interested. Really? Then tell me, what's my favorite book? He blinked. Well, you like reading detective novels? That's not an answer. Specifically, what book? I don't remember. And my favorite color? Pink. Dark blue. Like the ocean at night, I told you that hundreds of times. You never heard me. So I didn't remember some little details. That doesn't mean I don't love you. They're not little details, Eric. That's me, my personality, my preferences, and you never saw them because you were only looking at yourself. He jumped to his feet, the chair scraping across the floor. So that's it? You won't even try? No, I spent 15 years trying. That's enough. You'll regret this. His voice turned harder. You'll end up alone, without money, without a place to live. You think it's easy starting from scratch at your age? Maybe not, but it'll be my life, my choice, not yours. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded, picked up the bouquet from the table. Fine. We communicate through attorneys, and don't count on getting half the apartment. I bought it with my salary. We'll see what the court says, Kate answered calmly. He turned and walked out. The front door slammed. Kate leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Her hands were shaking, her heart was pounding. But she had done it. She had said no, and she hadn't backed down. Lily hugged her. Good for you. Really good for you. I'm scared, Kate admitted. Really scared. Being scared is normal. What's not normal is being scared and doing nothing. But you are doing something. You're fighting, and that's already a victory. They stayed like that in the kitchen, holding each other, until it was completely dark outside. 4 months passed. Kate got a job at the agency where Lily worked. The position was modest, assistant client account manager, and the salary wasn't anything amazing either. But she liked it. She liked being back in the middle of things, talking to people, solving problems. The first few weeks were hard. She had forgotten a lot and had to learn everything again. But little by little, she got back into it. Her boss, a man about 45 named Victor, was calm and fair. He didn't yell, didn't nitpick. He just told her what needed fixing and gave her time to fix it. The divorce dragged on. Eric, just as Susan had warned, did everything he could to delay the process. Sometimes he wouldn't show up for hearings. Other times he filed counterclaims or demanded an appraisal of the apartment. He said Kate had no right to half because she hadn't contributed to buying it. Susan methodically tore apart every one of his arguments, providing documents showing that Kate had worked and run the household, that her labor had value too, and that by law, everything acquired during the marriage was split equally. At the final hearing, the judge finally issued the ruling. The apartment would be sold, and the money divided equally. The car would stay with Eric, but he had to pay Kate compensation. The savings account would also be split equally. Eric sat in the courtroom with a stone face. When the judge read the ruling, he didn't even look in Kate's direction. He just stood up and walked out without saying a word. Kate felt relief. Not joy, not triumph. Just relief. It was over. Finally over. "Well then," Susan said, gathering the papers into a folder. "Congratulations. In a month, you'll have the divorce finalized and the money. You can officially start your new life." "Thank you. Thank you so much." "It's my job. And you know what? You did great. Not everyone can handle that kind of pressure. But you did." They walked out of the courthouse. Snow was falling outside. Light, wet February snow. Kate lifted her face to the flakes and closed her eyes. Cold, damp, but beautiful. Lily was waiting by the car. She had taken the day off to come support Kate at court. "Well," she asked when Kate came up to her. "We won. Everything was fair. Half is mine." "Yes." Lily hugged her and spun her around. "I'm so happy for you. Let's celebrate." "Let's just go home," Kate smiled. "We'll grab pizza and ice cream on the way. Sit on the couch and watch some ridiculous movie." "Perfect." That's exactly what they did. They bought a large 4-cheese pizza and a gallon of chocolate ice cream. They settled onto the couch, turned on a comedy, dumb, light, with a predictable plot, and laughed from the heart. Kate understood that this laughter wasn't forced. It was genuinely funny. She genuinely felt good. "You know," she said when the movie ended, "I realized something today." "What?" "That I'm happy. Right now, in this rented apartment on this old couch with pizza and ice cream. I'm happier than I ever was in that huge apartment with the expensive furniture. So what changed? I changed. I came back to myself. I remembered who I used to be. Brave, funny, alive, and I stopped being afraid. Afraid of what exactly? Everything, loneliness, judgment, having no money. I realized none of it is as scary as it seemed. You can live on a modest salary. You can rent a place instead of owning one. You can be alone and not feel incomplete. Freedom is worth more than comfort." Lily put an arm around her shoulders. "You've come a long way these past few months." "Thank you for being there. I wouldn't have made it without you." "You would have. It just would have taken longer. But you did all of this yourself. I just supported you." A month later, the money hit her account. Exactly half from the sale of the apartment, plus compensation for the car and half the savings. A decent amount. Enough to buy a small 1-bedroom or maybe a 2-bedroom apartment in an older building. Kate went to see several places. They were all so-so. Bad renovations, bad neighborhoods, awkward layouts. Then she saw the listing. A 2-bedroom apartment downtown, in an old building. 5th floor with no elevator, but high ceilings and big windows. The price was a little above what she had, but not by much. She could take out a small loan. She went to see it. The apartment turned out to be exactly the way she had imagined it. Bright, spacious, with hardwood floors and decorative molding on the ceiling. It needed cosmetic work, but most importantly, she felt it right away. This was her place, her home. "I'll take it," she told the realtor. The paperwork took 2 weeks. When Kate got the keys, she just stood in the middle of the empty apartment and smiled. Her apartment. Hers alone. The three of them did the renovation together, Kate, Lily, and Lily's boyfriend, Jake. On weekends, they came over, painted walls, put up wallpaper, changed outlets. The work moved slowly, but it was fun. Kate chose the colors herself, decided for herself where everything would go. No one said, "Maybe it would be better like this." They gave advice, but she always made the final decision. Her mother came to help too. She brought boxes of dishes, bed linens, curtains, old things Kate had inherited from her grandmother. Eric had never allowed them to be used, said they didn't fit the decor. But Kate loved them. Antique cups with floral patterns, linen tablecloths, embroidered pillows. "It feels so cozy in here," her mother said when they finished. "Truly cozy, like home." "Because it is home," Kate hugged her. "My home, finally." About 10 people came to the housewarming. Lily and Jake, her mother, a few co-workers, an old friend from college Kate had recently reconnected with. They sat on the floor. There was barely any furniture yet, just a mattress in the bedroom and a table in the kitchen. But nobody minded. They ate pizza out of the boxes, drank wine from regular glasses, laughed and talked. "To the hostess," Lily raised her glass. "To finding the strength to start a new life." "To freedom," Kate joined in. And everyone drank. The guests left late. Kate stayed alone in her apartment. She walked through the rooms and turned on all the lights, looked out the windows. The view opened onto old buildings, narrow streets, and in the distance, a church spire. Not a park like from that other apartment, but she liked it better. She sat by the window with a cup of tea. Quiet outside, late evening, a weekday. Somewhere far off, a car passed by. Ordinary city sounds. Kate took out her phone and opened her photos. A few new pictures. From the housewarming, the renovation, work. Smiling faces, bright colors, living moments. She scrolled farther. Old pictures, with Eric, on vacation, at office parties, at home. In all of them, she was smiling. But the smile looked dead, somehow, forced, like the smile of someone playing a role. She looked at herself in the camera, tired face, messy hair, an old t-shirt, but her eyes were alive, real. Kate deleted all the pictures with Eric, every single one. Not out of anger, they just were no longer part of her life. That had been a different life, a different version of her. Her phone vibrated. A message from Victor, her boss. "Kate, we need to talk. Stop by my office tomorrow morning." Her heart skipped. What happened? Had she done something wrong? She had just gotten back on her feet, and now more problems. She wrote back, "Okay, I'll stop by," and tried to calm down. She slept badly, tossed and turned, running through possibilities. Maybe a project had fallen apart. Maybe a client had complained. In the morning, she got to work earlier than anyone else. She drank coffee, trying to wake herself up. At 9, she knocked on Victor's office door. "Come in, have a seat." He nodded toward the chair. His face was serious, unreadable. Kate sat down. Her palms were sweaty. "I wanted to talk about your work," Victor began. There it was. He was about to say she wasn't handling it. "We have an opening for a manager, a full manager, not an assistant. Double the salary, your own team, your own projects, and I want to offer it to you." Kate blinked. "Me? You. You work well. Clients like you. You've got potential. You just need a little more confidence in yourself. Do you accept?" Yes. Of course, yes." "Excellent. Starting next week, you'll move into the new role. We'll handle the paperwork." Kate walked out of his office like she was in a fog. Lily jumped up right away. Well, what did he want? A promotion. He gave me a promotion. What? Lily squealed and hugged her. I'm so happy for you. See, everything is working out. It is, Kate repeated. It really is working out. That evening, she called her mother and told her the news. Her mother cried with happiness. Then Kate texted a few friends, and after that, she just sat by the window and looked out at the city. March was almost here. The days were getting longer, the sun brighter. Spring was coming soon. A new season, a new life. She thought about Eric, wondered how he was doing, whether he had found himself a new convenient wife, or whether he was sitting alone in an empty apartment, angry at the whole world. She didn't care, not out of bitterness. He just wasn't part of her life anymore. He stayed in the past, and she was here, in the present, with the future ahead of her. Kate stood up and walked to the closet, took out the box her mother had brought to the housewarming. Old photo albums. She opened one. Childhood, school, college, her first job, a girl with bright, burning eyes who wanted to conquer the world. Then that girl disappeared for 15 years, but now she was back. Kate closed the album and put it away. She picked up her phone, went online, and typed into the search bar. Trips to Prague. She spent a long time choosing, comparing prices, reading reviews. Then she booked a trip for May. 2 weeks. Alone. No Lily, no mom, no anybody. Just her and the city of her dreams. When the confirmation email came through, Kate smiled. She had dreamed of Prague for 20 years, put it off for 20 years, and now she was going. Finally. She went to bed happy, real, free, and she wasn't afraid of anything anymore.